Islam Makhachev has just dropped an absolute bombshell, issuing a stark, unprecedented warning to the UFC that could fundamentally reshape the future of the lightweight division. And holding nothing back, Dana White is absolutely heated, vehemently addressing explosive industry rumors that have not only set the MMA world ablaze, but seemingly touched a raw nerve with the UFC president. Welcome back to Combat Buzz Daily. Today, we've got a massive, breaking update involving Islam Makhachev's unprecedented ultimatum to the UFC regarding his future, his next opponent, and the financial structure of potential super fights. Makhachev, the reigning lightweight king, has reportedly reached a critical boiling point, signaling his frustration with the promotion's planning for his next challenge. Sources close to his camp suggest he's demanding nothing less than significant opposition and the right financial incentive, or the UFC risks losing their pound-for-pound contenders' full commitment to active competition. This isn't mere posturing, it's a genuine expression of dissatisfaction, hinting at a desire for fights that truly cement his legacy. We also have immediate, fiery reactions from Justin Gaethje, who wasted absolutely no time weighing in on the implications of Makhachev's strong stance. The current BMF champion didn't hold back, stating, "If Islam isn't going to fight, then the division needs to move on. I'm ready to fight anyone, anywhere. No one's waiting for anyone here." His comments add another layer of intrigue to an already volatile lightweight landscape. Breaking info about explosive speculation regarding the UFC's alleged reluctance to greenlight a specific blockbuster super fight and growing accusations of bottlenecking top contenders across multiple divisions. Dana White, in his characteristically unfiltered fashion, launched into a furious tirade during a recent impromptu press availability, slamming idiotic, baseless rumors circulating across social media. While he avoided naming specifics, the intensity of his verbal assault suggested these whispers are hitting an incredibly raw nerve within the organization. White's visibly heated response only fueled the speculation, leaving many to wonder what hidden fires he's desperately trying to extinguish. And finally, we'll quickly touch on updates regarding the latest on Conor McGregor's highly anticipated return to the octagon and his increasingly cryptic social media posts. The notorious one has been more active than ever on X, dropping a flurry of hints about potential fight dates, specific weight classes, and even subtly teasing rivalries. While concrete news remains elusive, McGregor's consistent, provocative presence online single-handedly keeps the buzz alive. Let's jump straight into it. Our top story today involves the undisputed lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, who has just issued a stark and unambiguous warning to the UFC, threatening serious ramifications if his demands are not met. This isn't just about a next fight, it's about his perceived value, respect, and future trajectory within the promotion. Speaking passionately in recent interviews and through his social media channels, particularly after his dominant victory at UFC 294 against Alexander Volkanovski, Makhachev feels his achievements, especially a pound-for-pound win, haven't been adequately rewarded or respected with the kind of immediate, historic opportunities often afforded to other dominant champions. His message was clear. "I am the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. I've defended my belt against the #1 P4P in enemy territory, and still I don't have a clear path to make history or secure the big fights I deserve. I'm not going to just defend my belt against whoever they tell me. I want a super fight, I want a second belt at welterweight, or I want to be shown the respect and recognition I've earned. If the UFC doesn't understand this, if they don't value their champions properly, then maybe I need to sit out until they do. I have proven myself. Now it's time for the UFC to prove they value their champions." This bold statement has caused major reactions across the MMA community. Many fans echo Makhachev's sentiment, believing a dominant champion who has seemingly cleared out his division and even beaten the P4P king rightfully deserves a shot at welterweight gold or at least a highly lucrative, compelling super fight. They point to the perceived slow pace of his next booking and the perceived lack of high-profile matchups. Others, however, argue that Islam, despite his undeniable dominance, hasn't had enough lightweight title defenses to justify such a bold ultimatum, suggesting he should clean out his own division further before seeking double champ status. These fans worry a prolonged sit-out would only stagnate the lightweight division. Analysts across the board are weighing in on the profound implications. Some believe this is a shrewd negotiation tactic, a power play designed to push the UFC to offer a more lucrative or significant opportunity, akin to past demands from stars like Khabib Nurmagomedov or Conor McGregor. Others speculate that this isn't just a threat, but a genuine frustration that could see Makhachev take an extended hiatus, potentially creating an interim title scenario in the lightweight division. The context here is the recent trend of champions being more vocal about their demands, perhaps emboldened by precedents set by other stars. It's a high-stakes gamble for Islam, potentially impacting his prime fighting years if he sits out too long, but also a direct challenge to the UFC's control over its top talent. His close connection to Khabib, known for his firm stance against the UFC at times, adds another layer to this dynamic. This situation casts a huge shadow over the entire lightweight title picture. Fighters like Charles Oliveira, Justin Gaethje, and Arman Tsarukyan, all fiercely vying for their shot at the undisputed belt, are now left in limbo. If Makhachev truly commits to a prolonged sit-out, an interim title fight becomes almost inevitable, fragmenting the division and potentially devaluing the undisputed belt in the champion's absence. His current standing as a dominant, seemingly unstoppable champion makes his demands even more impactful, as his absence would remove a major draw and elite talent from active competition, disrupting the division's momentum. The ball is now firmly in the UFC's court to decide how to address Islam Makhachev's demands, while Makhachev himself will have to decide how far he's willing to push this high-stakes standoff. Transition. This brings us to another heated situation involving Dana White, who has reportedly been far from pleased with these demands. Dana White responded to widely circulating social media whispers and a few unverified reports suggesting a widespread slowdown in top-tier matchmaking due to purported fighter dissatisfaction and stalled contract negotiations, saying, "Let me be crystal clear. All this talk about fighters not wanting to sign or us somehow holding back on big names because of money, it's absolute garbage. It's the kind of clickbait nonsense designed to get you riled up. We're in the business of making the biggest fights on the planet, and we do that better than anyone. Anyone who thinks otherwise is just wrong, plain and simple." Dana seemed visibly incandescent, his voice rising and his characteristic hand gestures becoming more emphatic as he addressed the flurry of speculation. The temperature in the room undoubtedly spiked, especially after rumors claimed the UFC was facing unprecedented resistance from several high-profile fighters, allegedly demanding astronomical purses that the promotion was unwilling to meet. Some reports even went as far as to suggest that a highly anticipated mega bout, perhaps involving a potential return for a former champion or a long-awaited title unification, was on the brink of collapse due to these financial impasses, threatening to derail the entire summer fight schedule. He clarified that while contract negotiations are always a dynamic and often protracted process involving a myriad of variables from opponent availability to scheduling conflicts and specific fight camp needs, there was absolutely no truth to the notion of a systemic crisis or widespread financial holdouts impacting the sport's biggest stars. White emphasized that the UFC has a deep roster of talent eager to compete, and that the matchmaking team is constantly working to put together compelling matchups regardless of external noise. He insisted that, "We are constantly making massive fights, paying our athletes fair market value, and delivering for the fans. Don't believe the hype from anonymous sources or basement bloggers." This ignited a fresh firestorm across online MMA communities, with opinions sharply divided. On one side, loyal fans rushed to Dana's defense, arguing that the intricate nature of booking global events and managing temperamental athletes makes delays inevitable, and that the media often exaggerates issues for sensationalism. Users on X and Reddit shared comments like, "They always try to make something out of nothing. UFC is fine." However, a significant faction of the fanbase expressed continued skepticism, recalling past grievances regarding fighter pay transparency and perceived leverage tactics by the promotion. They pointed to the ongoing discussions around fighter benefits and revenue share, questioning if Dana's fiery rebuttal was more a defense mechanism than a complete debunking. Hashtags like UFC fighter pay and Dana versus the rumors began trending, with users stating, "If it's garbage, why is he so mad?" And "Where there's smoke, there's usually a fire, Dana." Transition. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, matchmaking seems to be slowing down. Reports now say the UFC is trying to finalize a blockbuster lightweight title defense for UFC 308, potentially in Abu Dhabi, but significant issues involving current champion Islam Makhachev and top contender Arman Tsarukyan are causing considerable delays and uncertainty at the top of the division. An insider close to the ongoing negotiations told Combat Buzz Daily, Islam Makhachev feels he's truly cleared out the lightweight division, having already beaten the best, including Charles Oliveira twice and Alexander Volkanovski. His warning isn't just posturing, he's genuinely looking for a fresh, legacy-defining challenge, a welterweight title shot against Leon Edwards, or even the BMF title. He believes he's earned the right to choose his path rather than just taking another mandatory defense against a deserving contender like Tsarukyan. This puts Dana White and the UFC in a tight spot, as they want to keep the lightweight division moving, but Makhachev isn't backing down from his demands, creating a significant point of friction. The UFC desperately wants Islam Makhachev headlining a major PPV event, specifically aiming for UFC 308 as its main attraction to capitalize on his drawing power and regional appeal. However, these ongoing negotiation challenges and Makhachev's steadfast position regarding his next opponent, insisting on a super fight or a break from traditional lightweight defenses, may push things back significantly, potentially disrupting the entire card and casting a shadow over the lightweight division's immediate future. This unprecedented gridlock could result in a cascade of alternative scenarios. We could see an interim lightweight title fight, potentially pitting the always-ready Justin Gaethje against the red-hot Arman Tsarukyan, a matchup fight fans would undoubtedly flock to. Another strong possibility is a highly anticipated rematch between Tsarukyan and Charles Oliveira to solidify a true challenger, if Makhachev decides to sit out. Furthermore, if Makhachev eventually gets his way, rumors of a potential move up to welterweight for a clash with champion Leon Edwards are gaining serious traction, as are whispers of a BMF title showdown against Max Holloway, indicating the champ's ambition extends far beyond the traditional lightweight challengers. This situation truly puts the lightweight division in flux, with Makhachev's demands potentially reshaping the entire top 5 for years to come. As matchmaking stalls, fighters are speaking out. The Diamond, Dustin Poirier, never one to shy away from a microphone or a keyboard, wasted no time weighing in on Islam Makhachev's recent comments and Dana White's fiery response. Poirier took to Twitter, dropping a pointed message that immediately sent shockwaves through the lightweight division. Look, if Islam wants to fight 3 times a year, the UFC knows who's ready. Don't be talking about not getting fights when there's an entire division full of killers lined up. I'm right here, always ready for that call, especially for that strap. Stop talking about it, be about it. Poirier's direct challenge was unmistakably aimed squarely at Islam Makhachev, while simultaneously putting pressure on the UFC to consider him as a viable and willing contender for the next title shot, particularly given Makhachev's expressed desire for more activity. The quote immediately went viral, sparking passionate debates across Twitter and Instagram. Many fans rallied behind Poirier's anytime, anyplace mentality, praising his hunger and directness. Conversely, others defended Makhachev's right to seek meaningful challenges and proper scheduling, arguing against Poirier's claim to a title shot given his recent performance. Nevertheless, the hashtag Poirier versus Makhachev briefly trended, with a significant segment of the fan base seeing this as the clearest and most exciting call-out yet for Makhachev's next lightweight title defense. This social media frenzy has certainly put Dustin Poirier versus Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title firmly on the radar of matchmakers and fans alike. Meanwhile, adding another layer to the unfolding drama, the highlight, Justin Gaethje, known for his unfiltered and pragmatic commentary, also shared his perspective. Gaethje, who has long been a top contender and a former interim champion, offered a more business-oriented take during a recent interview with a prominent MMA journalist. Being the champ means you're at the top of the food chain, but it also means you're a target. You can't just pick and choose every single fight perfectly when the division is as stacked as ours. Dana's right, sometimes you just gotta fight. Everyone wants the big money, but you gotta earn it, consistently. The guys at the top understand that pressure. Gaethje's comments, showcasing his signature no-nonsense approach, further intensified the ongoing dialogue surrounding fighter power versus promoter control. His stance seemed to align more closely with Dana White's pragmatism, suggesting that champions have a duty to stay active and face worthy challengers, rather than getting caught up in negotiations that could stall the entire division. This clash of philosophies, from Makhachev's desire for specific high-profile challenges to Poirier's direct hungry call-out, and now Gaethje's pragmatic just-fight mentality, is undeniably going to be a hot topic for weeks. It casts a long shadow over the lead-up to UFC 302, an event where many of these contenders or their representatives might very well be in attendance, and where the lightweight title picture will undoubtedly be a major talking point. The pressure is mounting on the UFC to clarify its plans for Islam Makhachev's next defense. Transition? And now, let's move into our final story. New reports reveal that Islam Makhachev's management team has issued a strong verbal warning to the UFC, hinting at dissatisfaction with his current contract and potential exploration of options outside the promotion. Sources say that these discussions, though not formal negotiations, have included preliminary outreach from Makhachev's team to gauge interest from rival organizations, signaling a clear intent to leverage his championship status for significantly improved financial terms. And fans instantly reacted with a potent mix of alarm over losing a top-tier champion, speculation about the UFC's reluctance to adequately compensate its dominant fighters, and a sense of déjà vu given previous high-profile contract stalemates. This may not be the biggest story of the day, but it definitely affects the entire lightweight division's stability, the UFC's long-term strategy for retaining its elite talent, and Dana White's personal credibility regarding fighter satisfaction. These aren't just idle whispers. They represent a significant challenge to the UFC's tightly controlled ecosystem. The rumors Dana White vehemently denied and grew heated over essentially centered on the perception that Islam Makhachev, despite his undeniable dominance and pound-for-pound status, feels undervalued. The potential origin of these leaks likely stems from frustration within Makhachev's camp after his recent defenses. They see a champion who is cleaning out a division, holding arguably the most prestigious title in the sport, yet not necessarily receiving the star treatment or financial compensation on par with some of the organization's other major draws, or even historical champions of his caliber. For Dana White and the UFC brass, these particular rumors hit several raw nerves. Firstly, any talk of a reigning champion exploring options elsewhere directly challenges the UFC's exclusivity and market dominance. It undermines their narrative that the UFC is the pinnacle, where the best fighters are and where they want to be. Secondly, it reignites the perennial debate around fighter pay, a topic Dana White is notoriously sensitive about. Public perception of a champion feeling underpaid isn't just bad PR, it can embolden other fighters to make similar demands or publicly voice their grievances. The timing couldn't be worse either, with the UFC constantly navigating the complexities of contract negotiations and fighter retention. Makhachev isn't just a fighter, he's a champion, a global ambassador for the sport, and a direct link to the legendary Khabib Nurmagomedov. Losing him, or even a drawn-out public contract dispute, would be a massive blow to the lightweight division's credibility and the UFC's image as the premier destination for combat sports athletes. Dana's heated reaction wasn't just about denying the specific rumors, it was about protecting the UFC's carefully constructed fortress from internal and external threats to its power structure. Welcome back to Combat Buzz Daily, where the octagon drama spills over even when the cage is quiet. We're diving deep into the recent seismic rumblings from Dagestan, as lightweight king Islam Makhachev has sent a very clear message to the UFC, sparking a heated response from Dana White. Makhachev's warning, as many are calling it, was less a subtle hint and more a direct challenge to the promotion's matchmaking strategy. Frustrated by what he perceives as a lack of immediate, high-stakes opportunities, Makhachev recently stated, and I quote, "I've cleaned out my division. I've beaten legends, and I've defended my belt against the best. What's next? If the UFC can't give me a super fight, if they can't give me a clear path to a second belt, then what is the point of waiting?" This powerful sentiment suggests a champion who feels his dominance isn't being fully capitalized on, perhaps hinting at a desire for a welterweight title shot against Leon Edwards, or a legacy bout against a returning Conor McGregor, rather than another defense against a familiar face or a lower-ranked contender. Sources close to Makhachev suggest a mounting impatience, believing he's earned the right to dictate his next challenge after 2 impressive defenses against Charles Oliveira and Alexander Volkanovski. He's made it clear he won't be held back by promotional politics or perceived stalling tactics. Naturally, Dana White, never one to shy away from a microphone, fired back swiftly and emphatically. Addressing what he called rumors and speculative nonsense surrounding Makhachev's discontent, White delivered his characteristic no-nonsense response. "Look, Islam is a great champion, one of the best. But nobody tells the UFC who they're fighting or when they're fighting," White declared, his voice visibly heated during a recent impromptu media scrum. "We have a lightweight division absolutely stacked with talent. Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Arman Tsarukyan, there are fights for everyone. He's under contract, and we will find the best fight. These demands, this isn't how it works. Everyone wants a super fight, but you earn it, and sometimes you just have to fight the next guy." White's stance reinforces the UFC's long-standing policy. The promotion holds the power, and while fighter input is considered, the final decision rests with them. He seemingly dismissed Makhachev's frustration as typical champion ambition, subtly reminding him of the deep pool of contenders waiting. So, what does this high-stakes standoff mean for the future? For the UFC, it's a delicate balancing act. They have arguably the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world at lightweight, but one who is clearly signaling his desire for more. Ignoring Makhachev's demands completely could lead to a less active champion or even more public friction, potentially damaging a valuable asset. If they cave too quickly, it could set a precedent for other champions. For Makhachev, his future hinges on how hard he's willing to push. Will he secure that coveted welterweight shot or a blockbuster bout with a returning superstar? Or will he be forced to defend against a legitimate but perhaps less financially lucrative contender like Arman Tsarukyan, who many believe deserves the next shot? The lightweight title picture is now clouded with uncertainty. A prolonged impasse could even open the door for an interim title scenario if Makhachev remains inactive, though that seems unlikely given White's recent comments. One thing is certain, the lightweight throne, though firmly held by Makhachev, is now casting a long shadow of contention and negotiation. The next few months will be crucial in determining whether this is a brief hiccup or the start of a much larger battle for control. Transition. What do you think about today's updates? Should Islam Makhachev get a welterweight title shot or a blockbuster super fight next? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to